Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Chainsaw Reacts podcast, episode number 39. And today, guys, we are only covering one topic, and that topic is Star Wars The Force Awakens spoiler review. I'm getting into all the spoilers in the movie, so if you have not seen Star Wars The Force Awakens, if you've not seen the movie, click away now, guys. I'm going to go into heavy spoilers. I'm going to first go through part of the story, go from the start of the story to the actual end of the movie, just go through roughly the different parts that really stood out to me in the movie, and then I'm going to get to actual particular things that happen in the movie. I want to go to discuss those things further. So that's how this podcast is going to go. Obviously, all the time starts for everything I talk about in this podcast is in the description of the video, so don't click in the description. It'll be ruined by some of the things that are titled, but I have particular topics I'm going to be discussing. But at first, I'm going to start off with the actual beginning of the movie and how it plays through until the very end, and then I'll get to particular topics. So this podcast might be longer than usual. So without further ado, let's start off with the actual overall, just the plot of the movie. Okay, so first things first, the opening crawl is phenomenal for this movie. It immediately just gives you the thing, Luke Skywalker has disappeared, and it instantly hooks you right in because the marketing team over at Lucasfilm and Disney have been amazing with this, basically hiding the fact that yes, Luke's in this movie, but you don't know what the context is, you don't know the story, there's no plot, and all that kind of stuff. If they gave it away that Luke Skywalker has disappeared and the First Order is trying to get the map to go find Luke Skywalker, and of course, you know, the rebellion, you know, they're going to try to fight back and all this kind of stuff, the resistance, we're going to go against them. If they gave that away in an actual synopsis per se before the movie came out, it would completely ruin the story for this movie, because that is the main focus of this movie, and they would have gave the entirety of it away by saying Luke's disappeared, and you can kind of piece together by seeing footage what's going to be happening in the movie if you knew the plot. So thank God they hid that away and didn't release an official synopsis for this movie. So great on that part there. But the opening crawl was amazing. Like I said, Luke Skywalker disappeared. It really sunk in hard, like, oh man, well, Luke is gone, and it turned out to be a really big main focus, and it was the focus of the movie, and I really enjoyed that. So we first get a meet of Poe Dameron when he's talking with the village elder Lor San Tekka. I believe that's how you pronounce that character's name. And so we go through this whole situation here where he gets a little piece like of tech of a location to Luke's location on kind of a tech with like a map, and he hands it off to BB-8 because the stormtroopers show up with Kylo Ren showing up, and Kylo Ren strikes down the character that hands off the part of the map to where Luke's location is to Poe Dameron. He strikes him down and orders all the stormtroopers to take out the villagers, and there's one in particular stormtrooper that you see that starts having doubts and isn't firing and is not killing people, and it turns out to be, of course, Finn. Now what's really interesting is that that's not his name. He was named that by Poe Dameron when Finn decided, I'm going to help you escape from this super Star Destroyer that Kylo Ren captured Poe, and to see that where Poe is the one who gave Finn his name, because he's, what's your name? F blah blah blah, a bunch of numbers and letters, basically saying that he's just a soldier, he has no name, and then Poe's like, I'm gonna call you Finn. He's like, all right, I'll take Finn. So that's really cool that that's how he got his name, because he really doesn't know his name. So maybe we'll learn a little bit more about that, maybe in episode 8 or episode 9, depending on, you know, what direction they go there with that character. So I like that. Then we get to the point where actually Poe meets up with Rey, sees the BB-8 droid that Poe talked about, and so Finn's like, okay, well, I'm going to help you. He lies and says he's part of the Resistance, and so they're going to fly out of there, and then they go onto the Millennium Falcon, which apparently was stolen away from Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then eventually, through some different circumstances, then we finally see Han and Chewie on screen, and it was phenomenal. The place went crazy. I really enjoyed that scene because it's like he says it on the Millennium Falcon, Chewie, we're home, and the home that he was talking about was the Millennium Falcon. It was fantastic. Oh my god, it was such a great scene. Kylo Ren starts talking to the Darth Vader helmet, which I felt was kind of odd. Like he's really just an interesting character, but I'm just like, okay. Then once the reveal happens, then you understand why he's so attached to the Darth Vader helmet and why he's talking to the Darth Vader helmet. But it was just a weird scene to see that, where he's kind of having to talk to the helmet because he's trying to, you know, basically, what was I going to say? He's trying to find the darkness in him, per se. That's what I was trying to get at. He's trying to find the darkness in him because he's obviously not a full bad person, a full, negative person, a full bad guy per se. There's something going on there. So him talking to that helmet kind of makes more sense once the story plot moves along. Now, we finally get to Star Killer Base, which is a humongous piece of equipment. It's basically like it's like a Death Star on steroids essentially at this point. And Ren is you finally see Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, at first, Supreme Leader Snoke is like 25 feet tall, and then it's revealed he's a hologram, which is very, very interesting. But like, I don't know why he has to be so big. But when you're first introduced to, Supreme Leader Snoke, then he reveals to Kylo Ren that your father Han Solo, has the BB-8 droid with the map to Luke Skywalker. And then that was the big reveal of that Kylo Ren is the son of Han Solo. And then it's revealed later on, once you get to that point, that when finally, Princess Leia, aka, just General Leia at this point, not Princess Leia, she's General Leia, excuse me, people, then it's revealed that it is their kid. So I'm like, oh, thank God, it's actually their kid and not Han and some other lady he met after Return of the Jedi or something, and then they had a kid. Thank God it was their kid. It just made that more emotional. You saw C-3PO, obviously, with that particular scene. There's a lot of great fighting going on. Poe is revealed to be alive at this point because it was kind of the way it was shot that it was like Poe, we couldn't find Poe. Where is Poe? We don't know where Poe is. And then it turns out he's alive. Then, of course, Rey gets captured by Kylo Ren. Rey finds out the use of her Force powers. She fights back Kylo Ren, which kind of provokes, Kylo Ren to go, well, something's wrong with something's different with her because she's able to fight me back. She's very strong with the Force. And then at that point, it made me go, something's up with this, because once she touched the lightsaber, it was just like, okay, well, there's something interesting to that point there. But I'll cover some of these main points here in the section here. But, as it continues on, they destroy the Starkiller base. They figure all these things out. They end on a cliffhanger, and I really enjoyed how they kind of really went on with this story. I mean, there's not really much you can say because there's so much stuff I want to cover in individual topics here. But just the story in general, I felt went along great. There were some moments I wish could have lingered a little bit and could have been a little bit longer scenes. But overall, I felt that it was a jam-packed movie because J.J. Abrams had to basically fill in all this space to kind of give us a new story, yet cover some of the history between what we've not seen from the 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So there was a lot to handle there. But I do want to get to particular things in this podcast, and I'm finally going to get to the first one, which blew my mind. So here we're going to get to the heavy things I'm going to talk about here. So obviously on the time starts, you can skip to different stuff if you want to skip to a different topic before the first one here. So without further ado, let's get to it now, guys. The first thing, Han Solo death. My God. I did not see this coming. Now, when he started walking on the platform, I kind of, okay, this is not good. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good. I just didn't think they would kill Harrison Ford, Han Solo off in the first movie back for so many years. I really wish they would have made it to where Han Solo lived till episode 8, and then that was the big death moment. And that scene on the walkway, essentially, that someone saves Han and Han escapes from that, and then they're able to continue on and destroy the Starkiller base, and then he dies in episode 8. He has that close encounter with his son, but then luckily before he's able to kill his father, Chewbacca saves Han and all that kind of stuff and shoots at Ben Solo, because it turns out his name's Ben. Instead of Kylo Ren, that was his new name he took on, kind of like Anakin Skywalker's Darth Vader. It's Ben Solo is now Kylo Ren. But that death scene was, it was brutal. I mean, the audience, I'm so surprised because the audience that I was with on Thursday night showing was loud every time a new character, not a new character, but every time a returning character appeared on screen. Han Solo and Chewbacca, people freaked out. The Millennium Falcon reveal at the beginning when they finally run up to the Millennium Falcon, Rey and Poe and BB-8. The reveal of the Millennium Falcon was like, oh my God! And then Leia, yeah, C-3PO, yeah, R2-D2, yeah! And it's just awesome to see those big moments. But when Han died, it really, you could feel the room just be in utter shock. Like, they just didn't see it coming. I mean, some people felt it. I think some people kind of, okay, this is not going to end well, and it didn't end well. But like I was saying, it's a very emotional scene. I really wish they would have held that off till episode 8 in some kind of capacity because, I mean, look, at this point, there's no way they could bring back Harrison Ford for episode 8. There's no way. Unless it's a flashback scene or whether it's a dream that Leia's having or his or Kylo Ren's having, where he's envisioning, and his father is. You see where the things might have turned for him. I don't really know between him and his father. I don't know per se, but I think for the story moving on, he's not going to be a Force ghost. He's not going to. I don't think there's no way he can come back. The only way he could have survived is if when he fell, he landed on something that he was able to survive the fall, which is very doubtful, and he got into a ship and flew away. And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. The way they ended it, Harrison Ford is not returning for episode 8. But the only way he could return is if it's a dream or a nightmare from Kylo Ren, or if it's a flashback scene kind of showing him and Leia younger. I just don't see it happening in either of those ways either. But that was a very crucial moment. They could have did it better, but man, Han's death is just, it's kind of hard to deal with. It's kind of hard, man, because I was at work today, and it was still emotionally hurting me. It was still emotionally hurting me that Han Solo, after so long from that character not being in the movies. I know he's been in some comic books. I know he's been in some, books and all this kind of stuff and some video games. But when you actually see Harrison Ford reprise the role, and then there was a lot of great moments with Harrison Ford as Han Solo, especially between him and Chewie and him by himself with some of the new characters, and especially Leia scenes. But man, it's just like they just ended it. They he's done, and I think unfortunately I think that was kind of the deal that Harrison Ford probably had with J.J. Abrams, who directed Episode 7, The Force Awakens, that you bring me back, you got to kill me off, because Harrison Ford wanted to die in Return of the Jedi. He wanted his character to die in order to get more emotional leverage for that movie, and I think that's what he did. But I think they should have waited till Episode 8 to do it, because then it's like we get two new movies with him, and he dies in the middle of the trilogy, and that's what kind of sets the tone for the 9th movie. But it is what it is. Hopefully it pays off for a great reason why they decided to do that, but I'm just saying it is just hurtful as hell to deal with this massive blow to the Star Wars universe. People love the movie, but it just hurts so much that this character that's beloved by so many fans is just taken away in the first movie back. It just really sucks. It really does. Next up, we're going to talk about is Rey finding the lightsaber and her story arc. Now, the reason why I gave this as a topic is when Rey touches Luke Skywalker, aka Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, she saw a kind of envision. She kind of started visualizing some of these things. She visualized the Knights of Ren after they kind of went into destructive mode and they turned to the dark side, where Luke was training them to become the next Jedi, and then of course Kylo Ren went to the dark side and everything went to shit. She saw Luke touching the R2-D2 unit, which was Luke Skywalker, confirmed. Obviously, the hand is a very big giveaway. People are like, well, maybe that's not really Luke. It's Luke. So, there's that. Then, when she finally gets the lightsaber and pulls it from the snow and it passes by Kylo Ren and she actually grabs the lightsaber, that was a very crucial moment, but I'll get to more of that in her actual fight with Kylo in a little bit down the list here. But I really enjoyed that how her character is the focal point. The Force Awakens, in my personal opinion, the idea of the name The Force Awakens, I think it pertains to her character, because the Force awakens in her. Because Maz Kanata told her before she left, before the First Order attacked where Maz Kanata is and where they were at, and all that kind of stuff, trying to get answers to all these things about, can you send the droid to the Resistance, and all this kind of stuff. She says, close your eyes and let the Force in. And so, I think that's where it means where the Force awakens. Is it awakened inside of her? She used the Jedi mind trick essentially to let the Stormtrooper let her out of the restraints and let her escape from her room that she was restrained in with Kylo Ren. So the Force awakens inside of Rey, and I really enjoyed that was her arc. It started off her being just a scavenger, kind of like her father, just taking parts and selling it and getting food, to finding out she has the Force in a big way, and I really enjoyed that reveal. So like I said before earlier, that I'm glad that the Disney marketing team held this together well and kept back a lot of information and kept a lot of footage away, because it was just it's a very big surprise to kind of see a movie on this scale have so much reveals and surprises that blow you away, because the marketing was so well done to where they just didn't reveal a lot of the stuff that happened in the movie. So big props to them. But Rey finding that lightsaber was a very crucial moment in the movie, and her arc as a character, and I can't wait to see what her arc is in episode 8 and episode 9. It's just fantastic. What they've done so far is just so great for that particular character. Supreme Leader Snoke is my next thing on the list here, and what I do want to talk about is a little bit of speculation, but overall just what the character was. I did briefly talk about in this kind of going over the plot of the movie and kind of going through some of the particular points, is that Supreme Leader Snoke to me is a very interesting character. The reveal of him being a hologram, and he's a humongous hologram, was awesome in how they did that. But at first I'm like, oh shit, they made Supreme Leader Snoke 25 feet tall. Because there was a rumor at one point that Supreme Leader Snoke was like 20 feet tall or 25 feet tall. And I'm like, oh shit, he actually is. And it turns out it's just a big hologram. But he's damaged. His face is all messed up. Part of his mouth is kind of skewered. So he's able to talk in a normal way, but his mouth is kind of skewered in one direction where it's kind of like inwards, and so you would think he would have like kind of a it'd be kind of hard for him to talk, but it actually worked out for the best. Some people have had issues with not Kylo Ren. Oh god, I'm getting all these characters mixed up. Excuse me. Supreme Leader Snoke being a motion captured character, a CGI character, I'm personally fine with it because the character is obviously alien in a sense. There is some human qualities to it, but that is definitely an alien. And what was really cool is that we actually don't get to see Supreme Leader Snoke. We just see a hologram. Now, obviously, that's probably the character when you see him in person, but we don't know how tall Supreme Leader Snoke is, how tall the character is. Something about maybe like 6, 7 feet tall, probably around Chewbacca tall, maybe. But we really don't, we never get to see the character not in hologram form, which I'm glad they did that, because now it's kind of a more of a reveal in episode 8 when we finally hopefully get to see the character in person on screen rather than just a hologram. So I'm very intrigued on how that works out there. So, but the speculation side for Supreme Leader Snoke is that before going into the movie, and I actually spoke about this before on my video of I'm going to go see Star Wars The Force Awakens tomorrow, that there's been some rumors that Supreme Leader Snoke is another character, and the name Supreme Leader Snoke is just a gimmick. It's not really his name. His real name is Darth Plagueis. Now, if you don't know who that is, Darth Plagueis was the actual Sith Lord that trained Darth Sidious. Now, Darth Sidious in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I know people don't like the movie, but he particularly said to Anakin Skywalker that there was a Darth Plagueis the Wise, was a Sith Lord that learned how to cheat death, and that he's like, well, he learned to cheat death. He could bring life back. He could cheat death. He could help people cheat death, but he couldn't help himself. Essentially, where Darth Sidious killed his master Darth Plagueis. The thing is that if he could cheat death, and he was able to cheat death for others, that he could have cheated death on that particular moment and went into hiding, and that's why he's in hologram form and not on the Starkiller base, because he's in hiding somewhere. So that's Darth Plagueis. Now, the rumor is that he could still be Darth Plagueis, even though he doesn't look like what everyone thought Darth Plagueis looks like. But it could possibly still be because Supreme Leader Snoke has been quoted as being a damaged character, and he is very damaged. But I think that it's a possibility that he could just be Supreme Leader Snoke, just a character that has been around for a long time, we've just not seen in person. Maybe he knew Darth Sidious, maybe he knew Darth Vader, we just never saw him in person, or maybe he is in fact Darth Plagueis, the Sith Lord who actually trained Darth Sidious. So who knows? But for right now, I like the fact that this character was introduced in this way, that we don't get to see the character on screen. A hologram is the only way we get to see him in this movie, and I can't wait to see what they do in Episode 8. Next up, Kylo Ren revealed to being Han and Leia's kid. I touched briefly on this in the whole portion of the plot and all that kind of stuff, but I think this reveal was a massive reveal because, you know, there's been a lot of speculation that Kylo Ren and Rey are siblings or cousins, and it's looking to be more of the cousin angle. But I like the fact that Kylo Ren treated Han Solo not as his father, but as Han Solo. was when he turned his head when he heard when after the Millennium Falcon crashed, he turned his head and said Han Solo. He didn't say father. Han Solo. He's treating his father like just another person with a name. It's very intriguing on that kind of front. But when Supreme Leader Snoke reveals to Kylo Ren that your father Han Solo has the BB-8 droid with a partial map to Luke's location, it's like holy shit. That's how they reveal it. They don't reveal it as Han and Leia say, "Well, we miss our son Kylo Ren." I mean Ben. They don't do it like that. The reveal is from the big villain. The bigger villain, kind of like the Darth Sidious of the new trilogy. This Supreme Leader Snoke reveals to the audience that your father Han Solo. It's like, whoa, okay, well there's the big reveal. So people were thinking, well, maybe Han and Leia's kid is either Rey, or it could be Poe, or it could be Kylo Ren. It's Kylo Ren, and his real name is Ben Solo. Now, in some form of expanded universe, aka Star Wars Legends, that Ben Solo or Ben Skywalker was actually a kid of Luke Skywalker, and they decided to switch that, and his name is Ben Solo instead. But as we all know, he's Kylo Ren. But I thought that reveal was very cool. And what I do want to tack onto this part here is that I do like the fact that they didn't reveal who Rey's father is, even though everyone's speculating it's Luke, that Luke is that's Luke's daughter. Rey is Luke's daughter. But I don't know. But I do like the fact that that's how they kind of revealed that the reveal of Kylo Ren being the son of Han and Leia, and to see that they both kind of went in their separate ways once their son went to the dark side of the Force was a very cool plot point. Not like, okay, well, we kind of drifted apart because our relationship wasn't working. They drifted apart because of the fact that their son went so dark and went in a complete opposite way than they expected, and it kind of hurt them, and they kind of went and did what they thought would help them get over the fact that they kind of failed their son in a sense. But who knows? But I really do enjoy that reveal there. Let me take a sip of a drink real fast before I get to my next topic here that I'm going to get to. So hold on 1 second, everybody. So the next thing is Finn lightsaber fight with Kylo Ren. Now, the way the marketing team was doing this is that it was kind of going, Finn's going to be a Jedi. They're completely wrong. Okay, yeah, he used a lightsaber. He fought a stormtrooper with kind of a electrical rod type thing. And obviously he fought Kylo Ren in the movie, but Finn is not a Jedi. He is not a Force user. He's just a stormtrooper that gets away from the First Order, and he helps out the Resistance to fight them back. Now, I do like the fight between them because Finn was holding his own for a little bit, but at the same time, you could tell he was struggling, and it was obvious he was struggling once he got hit in the back by Kylo's saber. My God, it scraped up his back. It was brutal to watch, but I'm like, my God, he didn't kill him. He's still alive, and the way they kind of end off his character was just like, well, he's in a slumber. He's sleeping. he's in a coma, per se, and we're going to leave it there. So we don't know where his character is really going to pick up in the next movie, because I don't think the movie's going to pick up immediately after the end of this episode. It's going to be maybe a year or a year and a half later, as when the actual movie will come out. They'll do it a year and a half later. This has happened in the opening crawl. We'll discuss Finn got out of his coma. Now he's blah, 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 and then they'll jump off into that. So that might be what they do, but the lightsaber fight I felt was good. It didn't feel choreographed in the sense to where you could tell like they were like, step, step, swing, step, step, okay, back swing. They weren't. It felt like an emotional fight between Finn and Kylo because Finn was pissed. He's like, because he threw a Rey against that tree, and then Finn was so pissed off and like, you hurt my girlfriend. Not really his girlfriend, but you get my point. He was pissed, and so that lightsaber fight was really good, and he was holding his own pretty well against someone who was trained by Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren. But that was very interesting to see that fight. But I'm kind of glad that Finn didn't last too long, because if he did, then it'd be kind of like, well, look, Kylo Ren was not able to hold up that much between Finn. Finn was getting some pretty good hits in, It's just, I'm glad that they kind of finished it off pretty fast to do the big reveal, which is obviously the next topic, Rey fight with Kylo. Rey gets that lightsaber. I'm like, people were freaking out when he was trying to pull the lightsaber, when Kylo Ren's like, come on, lightsaber. And then when it comes out and then it goes past him and then Rey grabs it, everybody's like, oh my God, yes. And then she starts fighting him. She's holding her own for a bit, and then it gets to a point where the base, Starkiller base, is starting to get destroyed. and then Kylo Ren is pushing her back, and she's about to fall over, and then she closes her eyes, like Maz Kanata told her to. So she closes her eyes, she feels the Force, and it's just like, oh man, okay, here we go. This is really badass. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen here. Then she opens her eyes, and you can tell that the Force is growing inside of her. It's awakening inside of her, and then she fights back. She starts throwing crazy. She's hitting Kylo Ren. She's hitting him with the lightsaber. She's not cutting off limbs and shit. I don't think she cut off limbs from what I can remember. But I thought at one point she actually killed him. Like, there was a swing, and then he falls to the ground thinking, oh shit, she killed Kylo Ren. And it turns out he's, in fact, just really injured very badly. And then the destruction of the Starkiller base separates both of them, which to where she cannot finish the job and all this kind of stuff. And as we assume that Kylo Ren gets out of it and all that kind of stuff, because it's revealed Supreme Leader Snoke says, bring Kylo Ren to me, General Hux. And so it's kind of, okay, General Hux and Kylo Ren are going to go to wherever Supreme Leader Snoke is, which is not revealed in this movie. But that lightsaber fight was very emotional for Rey, but just to see her, to garner the Force and to enhance, and the Force enhances her fighting abilities, was fantastic. Some people had issues with the fight scene between Rey and Kylo Ren, but I personally enjoyed it because I felt that this is a character that's went through a lot in this movie, and she's been through a lot in this movie compared to what she's probably been through in her whole life before this. And the fact that the Force is very strong with her. She was able to hold back Kylo Ren and kind of in the middle of this movie when she's captured. She's able to kind of use her Force to kind of push back on his, trying to get the map out of her head, and she's pushing back on him. Very, very crucial scene. But I think that kind of, hinted at when we actually see in the actual lightsaber fight, that she is very powerful with the Force, and you can't stop her. Like, she will overcome, and I think she beat Kylo Ren in that fight. He's not dead, but she did beat him in that fight. So I really enjoyed that. Now, the next big thing we're going to talk about is jumping ahead to Luke Skywalker reveal. We finally see Luke at the end. She travels up through all this mountainous area, Rey does, and she has the lightsaber, and then you see the hooded figure, and then this slow turnaround. It's Luke Skywalker. People are freaking out in my theater, going, yeah! Takes off the hood. He looks at her in a way, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is kind of the speculation of, well, maybe this is his daughter, but we're not really sure, but it's kind of implied that Rey is Luke Skywalker's daughter. Then she pulls out the lightsaber, his old lightsaber, and is holding it to him, and he's a little bit away, and he's looking at it, and you can tell he's getting a little bit of emotional. Then there's a helicopter shot of them standing, and then it goes, directed by J.J. Abrams. I'm like, no, he didn't say one word. Luke didn't say one word. I personally enjoyed the Luke reveal. I think that it's smart. It's a cliffhanger. It makes a lot of sense, because the original trilogy ended on cliffhangers. They ended on, especially on Empire to Return of the Jedi, big cliffhanger there. So it makes sense that was kind of the direction they were going. That they're not going to end on a happy note. Each of these movies, like the prequels did, where every ending of the movie is a happy note, except for Revenge of the Sith was just not a happy note. It's just okay, here we go. We're leading into Episode 4. This is the ending. We're building the Death Star. It's just. I'm glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad they didn't end this movie on we're all happy now, everything's better, Starkiller destroyed. It's the reveal of Luke. We don't know. There's a lot of questions we still have no answers to, and we're kind of left on this note where she's handing him the lightsaber, and he does not take it, and that's how they kind of ended. I'm like, oh man, and it's good because it makes me want more, and I think that's what the movie really succeeds at, is that it makes me want more. I want to see more in this, and I'm hoping that when they release the Blu-ray DVD or special edition of this movie, essentially we're the big special Blu-ray collection, that they're going to have an extended version of the movie with all the deleted scenes, or the extended part of scenes that they cut out to cut down on time. Hope that they're throwing in there. I'm hoping there's like a 3-hour plus version of this movie, because I really want to see it so bad. There's so much more that I really want to get answered. But some people didn't like the Luke reveal. I personally did, and I can't wait to see what we're going to experience with Luke in Episode 8. Next up, we have 2 more things we're going to cover here, and then we'll be done with this spoiler review, kind of spoiler talk about the whole movie in general. Captain Phasma. The reason why this is a topic, a kind of mini topic on its own, why I'm discussing this, is because I said in my non-spoiler review, and I'll get to more details here a little bit, is that Captain Phasma is underused in this movie a lot. And there are some characters in this movie that are underused in a sense where they're not featured in many scenes, but the scenes they're featured in are very crucial. In my personal opinion, Leia, the scenes that she is featured in, are used well. I think add great content to the movie. It's not, to me, it doesn't feel like that they kind of just made her not appear in many scenes. It's just like they used her in a way to where she's not a humongous character in this movie, but when she appears, it's important, it makes sense, and it just overall it worked. But for Captain Phasma, it doesn't. It does not work at all. She has what, 3 or 4 scenes in this entire movie. She doesn't do much. The only thing that really happens that really just kind of makes me go, okay, is this character like even bad? Is this character not going to fight back? Is when Han and Chewie and Finn show up, and then they kind of pull her to the side, and you better take down these shields, and she just does it. And they throw her in a trash compactor, but we don't get to see any of that. And, the way they were kind of building up this character is that she's a badass character. Now, granted, she looks amazing. The freaking armor is amazing. It's awesome. But Captain Phasma does not do anything in this movie. Nothing whatsoever. Captain Phasma is there just to give little bits of tidbits of plot point. Like, well, aka Finn, the stormtrooper that wasn't complying with the mission at the beginning of this movie, was supposed to be sent to this thing for rehabilitation, aka basically being brainwashed and all that kind of stuff to do their bidding for the First Order. And Finn didn't go, and so she says, well, I sent him there, and apparently it didn't work out. That's really what she does. She doesn't do it. It's like she didn't walk out there and start blasting away. Now, obviously, there could have been there probably was scenes of Captain Phasma going out there in the battlefield in some particular moments, maybe, and killing people, firing her gun, something, but it must have been cut out, or it never was filmed, because Captain Phasma is just she's not even a general. It doesn't feel like she's a general. She's like, okay, I'm the chrome version of a stormtrooper, and I have a name. I don't have like a number or a letter and a bunch of numbers or something like that. So I'm hoping that with the fact that she is confirmed to return in Episode 8, I'm hoping that she returns in a big way and she kicks some ass. Do something. I was excited to hear about a female villain that was going to be pretty awesome, and she looked great. Even though she's a chromed stormtrooper, she had an awesome gun, a great name, Captain Phasma. Oh my god. And she was underused, and not in a good way, because they could have just had her in a couple of those scenes, and she kicked ass, and she was showing how powerful she was. Nope. Didn't happen in this movie, not once. Now, other deleted scenes we'll probably see in the release of the movie on Blu-ray and stuff that will actually show her kicking some ass. I'm hoping, but it doesn't change the fact that the actual film that's being released in theaters, that was released technically last night in the USA and full wide release today, it's not in there. So I don't like how they kind of handled that. Okay, next topic, the second to last one, speculation on Episode 8. Now, with the ending of this movie, I have a couple speculations to what they're going to do in Episode 8. First speculation, we're gonna find out the reveal of who Rey's parents are. Now, whether Rey is the descendant, the daughter of Luke Skywalker, is remaining to be seen. I personally believe that Luke Skywalker's daughter is Rey. That Luke had a daughter, and it is Rey. But that is just my first speculation. That's the reveal we're gonna get. Is that Rey is the daughter of Luke Skywalker, and that's how she has a strong Force, how she's so powerful and strong with the Force. But we'll get to see that hopefully in Episode 8. My next speculation is that we get to see the full reveal in person of Supreme Leader Snoke, and we get to learn more about his character. Maybe we get to learn if he's actually a different character under a new name. Maybe they'll reveal that in Episode 8. I think it'll be a strong kind of cliffhanger, per se, is that at the last couple of minutes of the movie, it's revealed that Supreme Leader Snoke is, in fact, Darth Plagueis, or a new Darth character that we've not seen before, and that he is an actual Sith, and he's not just some evil person. He's an actual Sith Lord, but just named himself differently, like I'm Darth Raven, or Darth Ravana, or something, Darth Albus or something. It's just something, I don't know, making up random shit in my head, people, at this point. But just some new Darth character that's kind of revealed. But I would personally like it if it was Darth Plagueis, but who knows at this point. The next speculation is that I don't know, they might kill off one of the new characters they introduced in this movie. One of the three. I don't think Rey's going to die. It could be Finn or Poe. It just depends on what the characters, what their story arc is going to be. Because the way they kind of ended the episode 7, it felt like it's going to be more of a Rey-centric movie and not really a Poe Dameron Finn type movie. Now, they could intertwine the stories again, but I mean, I have a feeling that either Finn or Poe Dameron's going to die in episode 8. I have another speculation that maybe Chewbacca might bite it in episode 8 because his best friend Han Solo is unfortunately no longer with us. It still hurts, guys. It still hurts as hell. But they might kill off Chewbacca. Just the fact that, look, if Chewbacca, I don't think Chewbacca is going to stay around much longer after the death of his best friend. I just don't see how Chewbacca is going to handle. I mean, Chewbacca likes Rey. It was referenced by Han saying, well, I think Chewie likes you. I think Chewie likes you, And it's just like, okay, well, that's kind of foreshadowing to the death of Han. And so now they're going to be piloting the Millennium Falcon together. It's going to be Rey and Chewie. That's another speculation there. Another speculation, I'm hoping that we get more answers to what the Knights of Ren were, like some flashbacks to when Luke Skywalker was younger, and he was training the new Knights, and training the new Jedi, and they turned to be the Knights of Ren. I know we got a little bit of a hint in that kind of Rey touching the lightsaber scene, but I want to get a little more story about the Knights of Ren and what they actually are, because we only got to saw them in that one brief scene, and that was really it. I think that's really about it about speculation. I mean, there's just so much stuff that we just don't know the answers to, and I'm kind of wondering if they're going to hold, some of the stuff off till episode 9, the finale of this trilogy, or if they're going to, more likely, they're going to raise more questions in episode 8 and answer some of the ones we got in episode 7. Like, some of the questions we have in episode 7 is going to be answered in episode 8. But then we're going to have questions from episode 8 that won't be answered till episode 9, obviously. But we'll see what they do with that. So, overall thoughts, the last thing here. Star Wars The Force Awakens, in my personal opinion, is a fantastic Star Wars film. To me, it's definitely on par with some of the original films, just in quality and in the storytelling, not in the sense of how epic scale it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's not exactly on the same level as those movies, but on scale of a Star Wars story, with interesting characters, interesting dynamics, dramatic, funny, heartbreaking scenes, it's on par. But with the nostalgia of the original trilogy and what the original trilogy did for cinema, it's kind of hard to compare The Force Awakens to those movies to the full extent. To some of the aspects, I think it's on par with some of those original films. But it's definitely, it's definitely the best Star Wars movie since 1983, The Return of the Jedi, and it has a lot of great moments in the movie. I love what they did with the movie. I know I had some issues with it. Captain Phasma, some of the things they did with the story, how they just kind of made scenes go a little too short. Wish it would have lingered a little bit more on some of them and wish I had more of a dramatic thing with the Han situation and his son before his death. But overall, Star Wars The Force Awakens is a phenomenal film with lots of great moments, a lot of sad moments, a lot of funny moments, and I'm going to go see the movie again as soon as I possibly can. So that is my spoiler review for Star Wars The Force Awakens, like kind of discussion. I'm all over the place with it. It's a discussion review. You get the point. So there you have it, guys. That is my podcast, episode number 39. Thank you guys for watching, listening to the podcast. Let me know in the comment section below some of your thoughts, spoiler-wise, about this movie. I want to hear your thoughts. And if there's something I did not cover in this, please comment below and say, what do you think about this particular scene here? I'll comment back and all that kind of stuff. We'll have a small discussion if you want to. So there you have it, guys. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Check out past podcasts if you have not already. Peace out, guys. Talk to you later.